And we are live. Oh, I'm so excited about tonight, you guys. Oh, Cara, you're there, right?
Yes, I'm here. I'm ready to
Oh,
go.
I'm so glad. So we're gonna let people come in and kind of propagate and watch, and it's gonna be great. I know your family's watching as well tonight,
Uh,
so I'm excited.
yes, my mom, who some of these stories came from, my son, daughter in law, and all four of my beautiful grandkids.
Oh, wow, you're so blessed. That's great. I'm so excited that we met and that we are going on this venture together, and we'll tell everybody about that as well. And I think I can go ahead and introduce you right now. So, Cara Carter Gubrud, right? Did I get it
Yes.
right? Oh, great. And Cara, we met in while we were working on a movie called 13 Fanboy, which I want to shout out now.
Yes.
I think is it March 8th is going to be
The
the
DVD,
DVD coming
I
out.
believe so. Yes, believe it's March 8th.
Yeah, and you can pre-order it, you guys. I have the link on Psychicfixes Facebook page, okay? And you can get it on Amazon. Hi, Kate. How are you? So everybody say hi, and I'm so excited that we're going to do something fun. My favorite thing, ghost stories. Exciting, and um, and we do have a couple people here already that are talking about their ghost stories, so that's really great. We're going to tell you kind of what this is all about. We met up working on that film, 13 Fanboy, and Kara and I clicked. And we're just like, you know what? I said, you got such a great voice too, you know? And I said, I would love to do a podcast. And so we have it in the works. So as you can see, Kara is an avatar right now, and that's because she's all ready for the podcast, and I'm not. So you get to see me. But we are going to get to a lot of stories, but I want everybody to find out a little bit about Kara. You're very accomplished, by the way. You are amazing. The education and the stories and everything you tell me, I'm just like, wow, this is fantastic. So I want to like let everybody know that you actually have an important name, and the name is Carter, and so you are related to a lot of people, by
I
the way.
am.
So I think most people know June Carter Cash, and you have a connection to the Appalachian mountains and things. So I want to just kind of like give it over to you right now to kind of tell people a little bit about you and your family.
Okay, well, uh, my grandmother, Nora, and June Carter Cash were second cousins. Both of their grandfathers were brothers. So it's very interesting. But up in the Appalachians, there are the Addingtons, the Kilgores, the Roberts, the Adams, the Carters, and all the families are kind of intertwined. And I'm related to every one of those names.
Oh, wow.
I am. And June Carter Cash and my grandmother are also distant relatives of Jimmy Carter.
Wow.
So that's something that is super excited. And by the way, I see one of my best friends, Michelle, is in. Hi, Michelle. Um,
Hi, Michelle.
so my family is just a long line, and um, they came over in I believe it was the 1600s, and some of my ancestors were lords in England and were royalty, and gave up their crowns to come here, their titles. So there's a long line, and we're also related to one of the most infamous and insane kings ever of England, Henry VIII.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
We all have a little crazy. I know that in our family trees.
Oh, yes, yes. And I've got an insane King Harold from Norway on my dad's side, so I've got a couple of double whammies.
I know. I was gonna say, but that's super interesting. I'm putting Michelle up there so that she could be have a
Yes.
little famous there. Thanks for coming in and watching. I can't wait for the stories. But anyway, so you have all these people, and what a lineage. And so we have a lot of people from that area. And you were telling me that you guys handed down stories. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. They some of the stories actually, some of the ghost stories, my grandparents and my great aunts and uncles and my grandmother all witnessed some of these firsthand. And actually, my cousins and I witnessed some of the stories firsthand when we went for one of our family reunions and went on a ghost hunt.
Oh my gosh. Um, I are we almost ready? Can we tell a story? Kind of break the
Absolutely. I'm
ice.
ready anytime.
Okay, like everybody, like dim the lights, get your cozy thing, get your little whatever you want to drink, and we're gonna have scary stories. I got to hear a couple things already, so it's really great. Okay, Cara, you've got the floor.
Okay. Well, this first one is interesting because it happened, gosh, over 100 years ago. I think cruising on 100 and almost 20. But there was this place, and it's still haunted, but they call it Haunted Holler. Uh, the northern people would call it Haunted Hollow, but it's Haunted Holler. And there's a road that it used to be dirt. I mean, it's a highway kind of road now, but paved. But it used to be dirt, and they used to ride their horses or their horse and buggies to and from their house, up in the mountains, to where the general store was. And no one wanted to be on this road at night. Things started happening. They would hear a woman crying, or they'd see a woman kneeling on the side of the road, crying for someone to help her baby. But when you'd get up to her, or you'd stop your horse, or you'd stop your buggy, she would just disappear. It was just she was see through. She was gone. And then some people said that they heard a baby crying in the woods, and different things. And this went on for quite a long time. And then apparently, I think people were hunting, because that's a big thing. That's how you got your meat up in the mountains. And they found a woman dead, holding her baby in her arms. Her baby was not murdered. Her baby died, obviously, of starvation or dehydration. But she was murdered by her husband, and the baby was left there in her arms to die. Um, and while you don't see her on the side of the road anymore crying for help for her baby, weird things happen on that road. My cousins and I were, yeah, you could say brave or crazy enough to go to this road. It's about 1 or 2 in the morning, and we stopped the car, turned it off, sat there in the dark with the lights off, and we heard things outside of the car. We heard things coming from the woods. There was laughter. There was, different things, and it kind of was a little freaky. When we got back to the hotel, and mind you, you have to drive on a highway going 55 miles an hour to get to the hotel. There was a flower on the front of the car, on the right near where your windshield wiper blades are. Wasn't attached to anything, but it didn't come off. Someone gave us a flower. We asked for a sign, and I think that flower was our sign.
Oh, you can always, always ask for a sign and literally get it. But I've told that story many times. I do want to say hi to somebody here coming through YouTube. Hi, Deborah Voorhees.
Hi, Deborah.
Look at you guys. We have a celebrity watching us. Deborah Voorhees is actually going to be on the 18th. I'm going to interview her and talk about 13 Fanboy, which we already did a shout out for.
I'm jealous.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. How wonderful. So, and Deborah's been in the Friday the 13th movie. That's part 5, right?
Yes.
And so she is director, writer, producer, everything. So we're going to have a chance to really talk to her next week. So I'm excited about that. Thanks for watching us. Okay. So I can't, you know what? There's so many times there's a lot of stories about, a ghost being on the side of the road and a hitchhiker ghost and things like that. And but to actually have people involved in your stories that, saw something or heard something is just fabulous. Makes it so scary
Oh,
because it's
yes.
real. I love it. I love it. Did you do a lot of, maybe investigations or go purposely into the woods or anything like that?
Oh, we did. Now we didn't go into the woods there because there, it was dead. It was the summer, and that's copperhead season. So I wasn't going to go cruising in the dark where I couldn't see where I was walking. Plus, I think we were all kind of a little unnerved from other things that had happened that night before we got there. But those are some stories that I've got later on. I'll tell you about.
Oh, okay. I'm so glad. I know that you have a list of stories and they're, it's a different world because I've never been over there and experienced kind of just dense forest or anything like that. And so, of course, you guys remember the Sleepy Hollow show. I was like, will I ever go there? I don't know. But I think people love to be scared. And I love that you have personal stories, and that's the neat thing. So many people now have personal stories of a ghost or some kind of just strange things that happen. And so it's really neat to hear some more. Do you got another one?
Oh, absolutely. Now, this one is actually a family ghost story or supernatural, if you will. My great grandfather, everyone called him Poppy. He was a really hardworking man. They had 14 children. And he wanted to go out one night and go play cards and maybe smoke a cigar or something with his pals, which was something my grandmother, A, didn't like, my great grandmother, and B, two of their children were very, very sick. This was during the influenza outbreak in 1918. And so two of my great uncles, Dewey and Glenn, were both sick. And one of them was really bad. I'm not sure which one. But he went out nonetheless and was playing cards late into the night, smoking cigars. I don't know if he was drinking. He might have been. And one of the kids got very, very ill on their deathbed. And my grandmother sent someone for him. And as he was riding his horse back home, he looked up and he saw one of his sons say, "Bye, Poppy." And when he got home, my great uncle had died at that precise moment. And the man never smoked, drank, or played cards ever again. Cards were not allowed in my great grandmother's house. My cousins, who spent a lot of time in the mountains when they were younger, if they wanted to play cards, even play like double solitaire or anything, they had to take the cards away from her house out in the woods and play. Cards were not allowed in her house ever.
Oh my gosh.
Because of that.
There's so many stories where people tell that people come back and they, say goodbye or hello or whatever. But, and so I've heard that a lot. May I tell a story?
Yes, please.
So this was really weird. This happened in my family. And my brother my little brother was born premature and he was in the hospital. And my mom had come home and my two sisters shared bunk beds or something in one room. And so my mom did tell me that when she woke up in the middle of the night and she heard a baby cry and she saw a lit cross go up from the bed through the ceiling and a baby cry. And so and then so we always had that story. But let's fast forward a couple of decades, maybe 3 decades, and I was talking to one of my sisters, and she said, "Do you know that when the baby died, when our brother died?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "There was a lady that came and she was all lit up and kind of in robes, and she was holding a baby. She told me that I have your brother and I'm taking him to heaven. I'm going to take good care of him." And then she disappeared. And I was like, whoa, okay, all right. And then more time goes by. another sister, because we were all grown and we lived in different states and stuff, she came and I was talking to her, and she says, "You remember when we lived in Claremont?" I go, "Yeah." And she said, "When our baby brother died?" I go, "Yeah." She said, "You know what? At night I woke up and there was a lady in the room," and I'm like, and she goes, she like had this halo and everything. And she held the baby. And then she went and told me exactly what my other sister said. I said, "You guys need to talk." They had never told each other that they experienced seeing that lady in the doorway with the baby. And so that was kind of like super amazing. We know it happened. They both saw it. And then my mother having the experience of the lit cross going through the ceiling and the baby crying. But they knew that the baby was being taken care of by this beautiful woman.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's my little story for that. Woohoo! Oh my gosh. So I think it's quite common for somebody to come back and just look in. So I will say this really fast. We were all having Thanksgiving dinner in my grandmother's house, and my great grandfather had passed away. And I know I was sitting in a high chair, my grandparents told me, and behind me was a doorway, and in walked my great grandfather that had passed, and he just peeked his head in, and all the family was around the table. He just looked at everybody and smiled, and then walked on and disappeared.
Oh, that's a little freaky.
It is, but I think that in my family we have, we do see ghosts. So
I grew up in haunted houses. Every house we owned in Chicago was haunted.
oh, Chicago. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. I know at some point you got Chicago stories, but we can do that in another broadcast. Well, I think we're ready again. You guys ready for another story? I am. I love
Yeah.
them.
Now everyone knows, everyone talks about the hauntings of, the spirits of humans. But this next one is a spirit of a horse. We don't know where the horse came from, but the horse was heard, like I said, there were no street lights up in the mountains. When it was getting dusk or dark, you were walking home in the dark. You were not seeing anything. And, unless you had a lantern or something, there were no flashlights either. Heck, none of your houses had electricity or running water. There were outhouses. Yeah. So my my great grandmother, when she was a young child, this story goes all the way back to the late 1800s. Her and her siblings would have to walk home from their little one-room schoolhouse, and unless they were out doing chores or playing, they had to walk home, and they used to try and race to get home before dark, because on their road there was woods and a little pasture, as you're going up the mountainside, and they would hear this galloping of this horse and this neighing, like just not in a normal horse way. It was like very scary or ominous. And they would see a horse barreling for them, and then the horse would disappear before it reached them. And this is something that my great grandmother and her brothers, they all witnessed. It actually terrified some of them so much that they would not go on that road if they thought it was going to get dark. They would rather stay at their grandparents' house than to go home and be anywhere near that. But the horse it would charge at you. And you could see it was the complete outline of a horse, and it was coming for you, and it would get so close to you that you thought you were about to get hit, and then it would disappear. No sound, nothing.
Oh
And
my gosh.
yes, and my great grandmother actually had someone interview her as an adult. They were doing Appalachian ghost stories, and someone actually recorded her. I wish I had the recording of her telling about this, spirit horse, or I think she called it a demon.
Well, if it charges at you, that's going to be scary.
Yes.
That's amazing because they're bigger and all of that. We're used to spirit dogs, like a spirit dog. And first seance I ever went to, it was pitch dark and the wind was going around and around and around like this. And all of a sudden something got my pat leg. And that was like, well, okay. They said, it's okay. It's a dog. And I'm like, all right, just so it's down there and it's little. I know this. A horse would be frightening. And I wonder why. Why would this horse come back? What happened to it?
You would think it back then, if your horse broke a leg, or if it got lame somehow, or it was impacted, I mean, they would just go and shoot the horse.
Right, they do.
They would, yeah. But back then, it was just commonplace. Your horse went lame, even if it was a temporary lame, you couldn't afford to take care of it or have a vet or someone come, so they would just shoot it and leave it out in the field.
Oh my gosh!
So it could have been any horse that had been killed. Maybe this one was killed for the wrong reason, or die, didn't die right away, or didn't realize it was dead.
I think if it's charging at people, it's
angry.
Yeah, it's like a little pissed off. I gotta say, hi Kit, hi Kate. I want to say hi to those two people.
Yep. I gotta say hi to Thana too.
Okay.
Hi Thana.
Is that somebody watching?
Yes, she is. I saw her up there when I was telling the story, but I didn't want to stop and say hi then.
How does she spell her name?
Thanna.
I'm looking. Oh, there we go. We want to say hi. Our viewers are everything, and our listeners, because we're going to be doing a podcast. I think our podcast we're going to be talking about true ghost stories, and something that we can research, talk to people, have guests on, and this stuff is real. This is real. And so many people, I think now are, Cara, are getting into knowing that, having personal experiences or knowing somebody that's seen something and they know that, this stuff is real, and we need to learn how to communicate with it. But this is amazing that there was a horse. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, it was something that actually surprised me. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Dogs I've heard of, cats I've heard of, never a horse.
Well, I do readings and I talk to the animals. There's some incredible animal communicators that I know. And I found a dog. I don't do that, very often to communicate with them, because I communicate with the human spirit so much better. But I heard that when I talked to the dog dog was like, worm, book, window, Halloween, whatever, trick or treat. Oh, little words. But when I talk to the cat, the freaking cat talks in sentences and funny as can be. So I was like, well, that's different. And so we know that, we are used to that, but that's amazing. And it'd be so scary at night and really seeing anything charge at you, I'd be running for sure.
I would too.
Because I don't think you'd know if it was really a real horse or not until where'd that go?
Yeah, it actually seemed like it was a real horse charging and galloping, and until it disappeared.
Yeah, because if you could hear it, my goodness, this is like, you hear these stories of people hearing the sounds and stuff. And that to me is a bit scary, because I'm used to getting communication, and I will hear my name or hear some names and things like that. But usually it just, will come in to my mind. But boy, I don't know. I get a lot of knocks here, a lot of bams, and a lot of, movement of things, those kind of noises. But oh boy, I don't know. We'll see if I can experience an animal or something like that. You know what? If it growls, I'd get away, because we might be going into the demon thing there.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I don't like growling dogs, let alone one that's dead that's growling at me.
Oh, that's right. So when you heard all these stories, did this scare you? Did your family want you to memorize it, or they were just doing it for fun, or just be a little scary or anything like that?
I mean, my mom is the one who told us these stories because she was told these stories by her aunt and her grandmother. And I was never scared of it. I wanted so badly to go to the mountains, but my dad was in the military and a police officer, so we weren't taking trips to the mountains. We were actually on Civil War battleground vacations. So, and there's
Ah,
hauntings there too.
yes, I know. I do want to go there. I want to go back east. I want to go to Salem, but I do want to do the battlefields. The one thing when I go to cemeteries, I get a lot of grief, sadness and things like that. So part of it is like, what am I going to step into with what happened on that ground? But I can imagine there's a lot of haunted places back east for sure.
Oh, yes.
I can't wait. We were talking about traveling and experiencing some of it. So
There are definitely places I would love to take you that I've already been and some that I haven't. But I think, oh, wow, some of these ghost places are, especially the Civil War ones, because there's so much pain. There's so much,
mm,
it was brothers fighting brothers. So it's very emotional, and there's so much emotional energy locked up in those battlefields.
right. And the energy can actually do things, because my niece was at a plantation taking a tour. And since she was little, she would be in communication with the spirits. And so she's standing there, and it's roped off, and everybody's looking that way. There's a whole crowd looking into the room. And all of a sudden, she got this. She got grabbed and spun around, and nothing was there. It was like a ghost got her, spun her around, and she said, and I'm looking out. It's not like they're saying, hey, look at this. She said, nothing's there. And she said, I don't know why they did it, but they grabbed her shoulders and spun her around. And she's like, if you're going to do that, there needs to be a point to it. So,
Yes.
why? But when people go ghost hunting with me, and they want to be touched, I'll just tell the other side, they're go ahead and touch them. They'll do it, because I wear my hair up when I ghost hunt, because they love to do this stuff. So but the people got touched on the shoulder, and they were so excited. Nobody was, because they wanted that. But I can't imagine being grabbed and spun around. I'd be all right. That's
No,
not going to happen again.
no, 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 no.
So, oh my gosh, you have such good stories. You still have more?
Oh, yes.
Woo.
And you brought up cemeteries. I have one now. This actually happened to me and my cousins, my son, my mom. Um, I want to say 14, 15 years ago. Uh, we were up in the mountains for a Carter family reunion, and we were out ghost hunting. And, I don't know who brought it up. I think it might have been my cousin Patty. Said, why don't we go to the cemetery where your grandpa's buried? Because it was a creepy cemetery. You had to go up this winding, one lane dirt road. On either side were gullies that were like 100-foot drop offs.
Oh,
So, and it was only one way up. And once you had to get into the cemetery to be able to turn your car around to drive back down. Well, unfortunately, we had been there before, and there was no gate. But we went up there late at night. It was our little midnight ghost tour. And we get up to the top to enter the cemetery, and there's a gate there now that was not there before. And we were in a conversion van. So you know how big those are. So, we didn't worry about it right away. We stopped the car. We all got out. We went over the fence and we went to look at the graves. And of course, we caught some orbs, on our cameras, and you could feel things. We heard rustling leaves. It was very, you could feel the energy. You could feel that there were spirits hanging all about. But there was also something bad too. It just, probably an angry spirit, most likely. But after we were by my grandfather's grave and his mother, my great grandmother, we got back in the van and we realized, oh my God, we can't back down. This is a winding mountain road with gullies on each side. One wrong move and this van is going over. So my cousin Loretta, love her to death. She was the first chicken to jump out.
Right.
She jumped out with her two grandkids, followed by my son and my mom. And finally, my cousin Patty was like, "Yeah, I'm going to get out too. I'll try and guide you down." Well, I was trying to back up down this road, and I'm telling you something. I don't know if it was my grandfather's spirit or my great grandmother. Whenever I would come close to getting my tires by that edge of the gully, something grabbed that steering wheel. I felt something when we were going down, and I kept saying to my cousin Patty, who was like next to the driver's side window, I'm like, this is really weird. I am feeling like something is pulling the steering wheel. And at first I didn't know if it was something bad trying to knock me down or if it was something helping. But eventually I realized that as I'm, turning in these winding areas and I'm getting close, it's actually turning the steering wheel to get me away from where I was going. And I made it all the way down. But that was a terrifying experience in a way, because I could have dropped 100 feet on either side and I would have been dead.
Right.
Some spirit had a hold of that steering wheel and guided me down. And mind you, this wasn't just a few hundred feet. This is a good half mile up a mountain road with twists and turns.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh my gosh, you could have been killed.
Yeah, but made it down safely.
The moral of the story is, don't you go backing down any mountains. You were saved once. Oh my gosh.
Yes, it was very scary.
And again, and when we talk about, so many people say that people in accidents, they were saved by, they say like somebody ended up there and got them out and nobody knows where they went, or that they were saved, like held back or whatever and didn't go through the windshield. So many crazy stories about people being, rescued by an angel or some kind of spirit. And those are amazing things, especially the ones that the people get like superhuman strength and they lift the car off the people and stuff.
Oh, yes.
Oh my goodness. I had somebody send me a picture once, and he lost his wife in a car accident, and people were taking some pictures, and there was a picture of an angel or a ghost right there, and like a spirit, like something coming out of the car, like her body, like her spirit, and like an angel there. It was like craziness, but they're there and to assist in whatever way. It might be to take them to the other side or to save their lives, but it's like, oh man, that's amazing.
It's wild.
And them having you do the steering wheel, and they're, wow, that's amazing. But they are strong. Yeah, they can do all kinds of things. They, stuff floats through my house. We just like watch it go. Hey, there goes the remote. Okay. So I think I a little charged with energy. I think some of the people can see that I've had a few orbs flying around tonight. And so anyway, This is amazing. Do you feel like your family has like, a huge share of ghost stories more than most people for some reason?
I just think that my family is very um, in tune to feel ghosts, to sense them, to my brother and his wife go ghost hunting all the time, and they have gotten some amazing orbs. They've captured them, um, and they have sensed things. We stayed in a haunted house in Iowa uh, when my brother passed away, and there was something evil in that house.
Mm.
It was terrifying. None of us got much sleep. My sister-in-law Diane actually walked in her sleep like she was possessed by something. And she never walked in her sleep. It was just very weird. She was up walking around when she had been sleeping.
Oh my
So
gosh. Like a
yeah.
spirit goes, let me slip in the body because I want to take a stroll.
Yeah,
It's been a
maybe
while.
it was very weird.
Oh, shoot. They're used to like just, floating through the walls or something. Well, hey, let's just hijack a human. Oh my gosh, how weird. Did she talk or anything, or you wake her
No,
up?
we actually woke her up.
Okay.
Thana, Rick, and Diane. Thana just asked which brother.
Okay.
But yeah, uh, it was very weird. But we've always had these things, and I can't say that all of my siblings are in tune. My sister won't even watch horror films.
Mm.
She doesn't do anything like that. But my three of us at least are into the whole ghost hunting, into horror films, into to being scared. So there's at least three of us that are terrifying.
And I think too, people have a different level of intuition. I started looking around to find out who in my family tree, you know, uh, had this psychic stuff come in because I was born and then I always knew everything. I knew what was going to happen. If I could, I was very nice. I wouldn't tell people like told you so, but boy, could I said it all the time. And I was, lucky and I won stuff a lot and piss off my older sister a bit. But then the near death experience and everything. But I kept looking to see like my sisters, I find out later, two of them saw ghosts, or actually in my house was haunted. And my sister that was 11 months older than me, she had the back room and I had the front bedroom, and she had the little demony guys, and I call them gumbies, and shadow guys come up and all the way around her bed and at the
Oh,
foot. And then a big one came up and went boom down on top of her and freaked her out. And so she told me that, and that story. And then years later, because it was like an ancestral house, years later, my niece was living there. And so she said, oh gosh, Aunt Debbie, I had the same where these little dark shadow guys came up all around the bed. And then a big one came up, and she said I didn't know what to do, so I about died. She says I invited them up on the bed. Okay, no, no. She said they smothered me, and then this big one came up and came down. And I said, look, your aunt had the same thing happen when she was, a teenager. And so they were about the same age. So that I know that there's something going on, there where they're same thing, same little demon guys. They all wanted to smother. So I'm like, I was in a better bedroom, I guess. I don't know. Oh my gosh.
or
It's
you were
scary.
able to hold it off, and maybe it was scared of you.
Well, now I'm trained, I'm Wiccan trained, and I can communicate. So I'm the one that runs in. And this what gets me when we watch the TV. I want a television show. I always wanted one where it's mediums going in and a couple of people, paranormal investigators, because we get the story. We get to cross, soul rescue. We get to do all these things. And I think that would be, really, really super good. But anyway, I want to get back to they just like go, OMG. Oh my, we have, but when there's something dangerous, I go after it. And we were, this is for you, Thana. Yeah, I hope I say her name right.
Yes, you are.
Oh, good. Well, that was lucky. So we were at Pioneer Park in San Diego, which is, the worst. If you want to go to the haunted place, you can go to Whaley, but please go to Pioneer Park, where all these people were buried there. It was a cemetery. And when it went into neglect, they decided that they would just make it a park. So people are barbecuing on top of graves, and they bulldozed everybody's beautiful 100-year-old tombstones down into the canyon, where something dark is down there for sure. And so I had a group with me, and then we had a couple of mediums. They were by the wampum tree, because this tree will just drop its little hard little balls down on the ground. But there's a medium, Janine, and if she goes over there, it just goes, they go sideways and hit her in the head, hit her in the head. Nobody else. So anyway, we were watching, and they called on the walkie-talkie, and something's going on, and you could see them going back, 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 back. And it was wind, and like everything else around was fine. It's like a little tornado at them. And so I just dropped everything, got my little bag, and ran up there. And by that time, they were scratched. Janine was scratched. I mean, the skin was up. And then Sean legs were scratched. And I said, what's going on? And they said, there's a portal up in that top of that tree, and it's black. But what's even darker is the entity that's in it. And I said, okay, got it. I'll go take care of it. Because Janine goes, I think somebody should take care of it. Okay. So I make my little mixture of stuff that they don't like. And I go around and I say my prayers around it. And the portal went gone. So
we know we have to do that to a certain house, but we can't say which.
But the thing is that, we should be careful, but I'm used to kind of doing it. And when I watch the shows and the grown guys are running from it, I'm like, I scream and I say, you're supposed to run to it, not from it. This is what you're there for. It would have to be pretty bad. I tell people, like, if you're on an investigation with me and I say run, then you better darn do it. And I've never had to say that. We're always walking. I have a lot of great friends here and people that work with me in investigations that we go in and we go for it. So, but oh my gosh, now we're talking about demons. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I want to give it back to you, Cara. Do you have, let me look at the time. Oh, we got lots of time. Do you have some other goodie?
I do. We were talking about, about my great grandfather's feeling, saying his child saying goodbye to him. The same thing happened when my brother died. Before my phone ever rang, I was sleeping and my brother showed up in my room and he didn't say anything. And I said, oh my God, I love you. And I was reaching for him and he was just going further and further away. And our phone rang and it said that my brother had died a few minutes before. And I didn't get up to see him. So that was something that was just, scary, but meaningful, because, just tying it all into my family, having this connection with spirits. I think we all have some kind of sensitivity. I know my cousin Patty does. We always feel, it's weird, we feel the same things when we're together ghost hunting. We can, it's like, did you feel that? Did you? And it's true.
And I think too that let me talk into past lives and stuff. I have somebody that came into my life, and her name is Londi, and she came to my meetups because I've got about, I don't know how many, I have 600 people in the meetup here in Southern California, and Londi came in and we just clicked, and so we just knew what we're thinking about the same thing. So I was doing readings for someone and she happened to be there. And so I knew what I got. and I knew what was going on. And I just looked at her and I said, "You know how he died?" And I just looked at her and I said, "You know how he died?" And she said, "He hung himself." And I said, "Correct." So, we would practice a lot. Oh, we had the best seances ever. I remember some people came down from up north, and I was sitting there. We were all sitting around, and we have a picture, and I look at the picture, do a little psychometry thing. But I looked up and I go, "You guys know who Tyler Henry is, right?" Well, there's Tyler Henry floating crisscross applesauce in front of me. And I'm like freaking like, why is Tyler here? And the mom who had lost her son, and that was picture, said his name was Tyler.
Oh,
It was crazy stuff. Always good. Always good stuff. Let's see. Kate has a comment. Let me bring it up. Kate said, yes, this happened when my mom passed because I live in Manchester, but my family lives in Scotland. Yeah, they come and visit. And I think my grandfather had told me that he had his dad or someone come in and like sit on the bed and like say goodbye and then go disappear. And I think that's pretty quite often that the people do feel like things happen and sit in the bed next to them. And of course, for me, I got bounced on the bed, bounced. And the spirits are trying to wake me up because I was taking care of my father-in-law in hospice, and I was so exhausted. And the 24/7 people were starting in the morning, and I just wanted to get some sleep. And all of a sudden, the bed's bouncing. And then I'm so used to earthquakes, but I'm going like this. I'm hopping in bed and I'm like, all right, all right, all right. And I looked and I said, it's midnight. It's straight up midnight. I would like to sleep a little bit. And so I just laid down and then bam, I was flying off the bed just like this. And I said, okay, okay. I know he needs me. I'll go. And I went down and I'm like, I'm creeping in the house instead of just turn lights on and go. And I'm going down the stairs and I'm looking to see what is in the main living room. And there was my father-in-law, bless him. He had ripped his oxygen out in his clothes and he had a sock on and he was getting up to go. He's going to go. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank goodness they, alerted me by bouncing the bed up twice for me to get up. But that was, I have those experiences, and that was a blessing. I took care of them, and then they came in the morning and stayed all the time with them. But that was like crazy stuff.
now I have a great story that is not a family story, but well, I guess since everyone up there is related to me, it's kind of a family story. There's a university in Wise, Virginia. It's the University of Virginia College at Wise, and they have a one of their halls is Bowers Sturgill, and a long time ago, I mean, way back, apparently a girl, they don't know for sure if she committed suicide, but she was found hanging from the pipes in the hall, in the Bowers Sturgis Hall. Her apparition is seen constantly by the college students hanging by these pipes. They ruled her death a suicide, but there's been a lot of speculation that she was murdered by a boyfriend and that he got away with it. And maybe that's why her body is still showing up there, hanging from the pipes. It's like you can see her as clear as day and then she disappears.
Well, she, didn't cross over, and they need to have that soul rescue. Now I look at those things all the time. I do homicides and all that stuff, and it's very easy for me to see the whole story. And but if they're unsettled and they don't know, or they want somebody to know that something else happened to them instead of suicide, that's going to keep showing up. There's different things. There's imprint of energy, and then where traumatic things have happened, or there's actual, spirits walking around. So they have to figure out which one it is, and then if it's a spirit, they need to cross her over to the other side. That's sad. Sad, sad.
Yeah, she's
Mm.
just, and it's, it happens, I guess, around the anniversary of when she was found. So it's,
Okay.
I personally think she's trying to tell somebody, even though it's been probably, 80 years. I think she's trying to tell somebody, hey, I didn't kill myself,
Mm-hmm. Oh my
but
gosh.
yeah, it's a legend there.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And well, there, see the whole place, Big Stone Gap, Norton Wise, they all are just rich with hauntings. And one of the oldest inns, it's a hotel and restaurant, is called the Wise Inn. And it is extremely haunted. I've always, every time I go up there, I've always wanted to stay there. I wanted to stay in one of the rooms because, you do get your hair pulled. People have been pushed. You hear laughter, you hear cries. There's been so many experiences that people have felt at this inn, um, that I think that if anyone is going to travel to Wise, if any of you do, I would book a room there, or at least go have dinner there and see what you feel and what you experience. Because it is a
Yeah.
yeah, it is a gorgeous but a very haunted building.
There's so many inns and all over, I'm sure, the world that have such extraordinary sightings and stories. But when you think about it, they've changed from one thing to another. They probably had a lot of shootouts or knifings or whatever in there. So you get all these energies in there. And I know sometimes it can be, something mean or something like that, but most of the time they give them a nickname and invite them in. So,
Yeah. Well, the last place, I think we have time for it. The last place I
mhm.
want to talk about is this mountain overlook called High Knob. It has been the scene of murders. It has been the scene of fighting, during wartime, or when the settlers were fighting with the Native Americans. Um, but it's got a very dark history. And when we were up there we had one of our family reunions up there. And again, it is a steep mountain road going up, and very scary to get up there. Once you're up there, it's beautiful, you know. Um, but you can feel a presence when you're standing there. You could feel like someone's looking at you. You can feel like someone brushed up against you. You look and there's no one there. There's no one to touch you, but you felt like you were touched. I felt a few things when we were up there for one of our reunions. Uh, but I think it's a lot of it is the negative energy from the murders and the different things that had taken place up there.
Right.
And, there's a lot of residual haunting. Maybe some of the people don't even know that they've passed on. Maybe that's why they're tapping you on the shoulder. Maybe they're trying to greet you. But there's a darkness there too.
Well, where there's things that happen where there's grief or sadness, murder, mayhem, whatever, there there can be some dark energy that globs on, and this happens in a lot of rooms and houses, and it'll be there, and it also can grow because as more stuff comes in, this is like, Cara, when somebody goes into a house and starts living in it, and they start getting depressed or they have some mental issues, and it's because this stuff is there, it's not cleared out, and it stays there. And then if it can grow, it can grow, and then then you're in trouble. A lot, my take on this, and I call them gumbies, is that when it gets to a certain growth of this dark energy, it's the things that can bite and scratch these people that go in, ghost hunting. And then it can take orders, it gets sentient. And then there's a hierarchy of all this stuff. But this is what we usually see when there's been some really bad things happen that just can get together. It hangs out there, and that would take a lot to clear that area, and I can't see anybody that could. And so the dark stuff you got to watch out for. If it happened to be something where we're going to talk a demon or something like that, then you wouldn't want it to even be there. If it's just dark energy, you just have to just make sure that you keep white light around if you want to explore it. But this is where everything kind of hangs out, and people that are more sensitive, like the people in your family, are going to actually see the soldiers or maybe the murder or something going on. And so sometimes I know it's a hard road to go when you are psychic. And I tell people a lot when they go, gosh, I'm kind of afraid. I go, if you're not comfortable with this, please don't do this. Don't go seek it out, kind of stay back a little bit. Yeah. Kate has a question. Kate says, Debbie, when I see them, what do I say to them? When I was little, I would just close my eyes and pray for God to protect you. And that's fine. You know what? It depends on what you are dealing with, Kate. So we always want to do prayers. We always want to go to our higher power to take care of things. Archangel Michael's really good about getting stuff out. So you can call to him as well. Prayers are always fantastic. And it just kind of depends on what you're facing. When they annoy me at night, I just yell at them. It's when they were just waking me up at 3 a.m. all the time, I got mad, and I woke up and I said, you will never do this again. Don't you ever knock. I have to sleep, because it was bam, bam, bam. It was just like too much. And so they cut it out. But now they do 4 proper knocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. What do you do? And so if there's something dark, you definitely want to get away with it. And, and I wouldn't make it mad. I would pray for any angelic assistance to come in and help you. If you are into protection and magic or Wiccan stuff, there's things that we do. And it includes, our herbs and salts and things like that. But really, the best thing to do is just to go ahead and ask somebody to come in, an angel, archangel, somebody come in and take care of it, get it away, and pray. Best thing, really great thing. You did the right thing there. Oh my goodness, we have a couple more minutes. Cara, I'm going to give it to you. What do you want to say?
Well, I want to say that I guess I've never been truly afraid of ghosts because of the I guess the long line of stories passed down. But also, I mean, my parents had a uncanny how do I explain this? They were able to pick out a house, and every doggone one of them was haunted. The house I live in now is haunted. The 2 of the houses that I grew up in Chicago were haunted. I had when I was 3 years old, I was playing with 2 little ghost girls. I would get up in the middle of the night and go play with these girls in this crawl space. I don't even know how I got up there, because you had to climb up literally into this place. And I was playing with these ghost children, and I could hear them above me, in my bedroom. I was 3 years old, but I vividly remember them. It wasn't a dream. There were 2 little girls, but the basement had a dark spirit in it. I was terrified. My parents' bedroom was in the basement. Terrified me to go down through the laundry room to their bedroom. I was terrified. I had to have my mom standing there watching for me so that I could jump down the stairs and run to her room, because it was so scary.
Oh my gosh. Well,
I
you
never
could feel the vibrations. You knew something was there.
Yeah. Well, I honestly, there was a man before my parents bought the house. There was an old man who lived in the basement, and he disappeared. The people said that that I don't know if it was their father, uncle, whatever, that he moved away or something. But you know, I wonder if he, no one ever saw him again. This was back in I think the 60s before my parents bought the house, or late 50s, early 60s. And my mom said that, she always wondered if maybe they killed him. Maybe he was buried
Oh
in there,
my. Yeah, it's like, is there a dirt floor or a little
Yes,
fresh
there was a dirt,
cement?
yeah, there was a dirt area of the basement,
Mhm.
yes.
Oh
But
my gosh.
it always scared me. I always felt there was something there.
Um, there's so many stories that I hear. My niece was in the house in Southern California, and she walked in or whatever, and there was a teenage guy on the bunk bed. And then he ended up being a ghost. And so she knew that this guy was in there. And so the family went and asked around and said, oh, yeah, like he died. And you're like, oh, great. But it's quite amazing that your family always found one. And
Yeah,
maybe the spirits were calling out to them, yeah, come here. Like, no.
maybe. We've taken pictures of my mom, and she has been like covered with orbs.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and someone said that, one of the orbs, one of the bigger ones that was behind her, it almost looked like there was a face in it, that was her father watching over her.
Oh my gosh.
But
That's amazing. Yeah, there's a lot of things that people can do. Water vapor and take pictures, sage smoke, or just take pictures in the dark, and to see, like what's in there. And there's some amazing pictures that you go, well, that's a person. That's a freaking person there. So, well, we talked about a lot, and I'm looking at the clock, and this was so fun. And we're going to ask everybody to come back next week and watch another show, because we're going to do this. We're going to segue over, aren't we, Cara, to podcasting. That's what we want to
yes,
try. We just don't know what we're doing yet. I mean,
we're
how do you
figuring
do
it out
that?
as we go.
I know, by the seat of our pants. But this has been really so interesting. We're going to do this, and we'll, have guests on. And if you want to be on and tell your stories, we'll do that. I'm so excited. And so anyway, we're going to go. And Cara is like all the other practitioners on Psychicfixes, accepts gratefully and appreciative of tips. And her tip link is scrolling across and also in the description if you want to give a little bit. Thank you, Deborah. A little tip to her. It'd be appreciated, because she is a great storyteller. So lucky, Cara, to have you in this new venture, and I thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so happy and amazed to be part of this. And thank you, Deborah. That's so sweet of you.
Oh, okay, you guys. So we have a lot of lineup for next week, and our anxiety coach, and we have a calmness. I have David from Australia, and he is into calmness. I'm going to say it that way. And so I can't wait to interview him. And of course, Deborah Voorhees, the most wonderful Deborah Voorhees. I get to, kind of pick her brain and talk about stories. She has a ghost story, and I know that she'll tell it to you. Okay.
Oh, I can't wait.
I know. So, Cara, we're going to say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so
Bye,
much.
everyone. Thank
Thanks.
you.